this would have been if you wasn't so thirsty for attention. In what world do people have emergencies at home and they run to the internet and that's their first? Oh my God, guys, I had a medical emergency. I woke up in a pool of blood. Let me go post it to the internet to stir up all this damn frenzy and then leave people with no details.
Atlanta has seen scandals before, but nothing shook the city like the war between Tamar Braxton and Funky Dineva. One chilling Instagram post from Tamar Braxton, claiming she woke up in a pool of blood, set the internet on fire. Hashtags exploded. Blogs went wild, and fans flooded timelines with accusations that dragged Funky Dineva into the storm. To some, Tamar Braxton was a victim fighting for her life. To others, it looked like a calculated stunt and Funky Dineva refused to be her collateral damage. What followed was a toxic back-and-forth, cryptic captions from Tamar Braxton, savage clapbacks from Funky Dineva, and a feud so raw it blurred the line between survival and spectacle.
She can just write, "I love you, Funky Dineva." That would just clear the air. Let people know I didn't do nothing to you. Not that I honestly think any reasonable person thought that I did something to you anyway, but still. And then in the midst of your recovery, you gonna drop the music video to further make it look like all of this was a stunt. Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'm not participating in that.
Atlanta has seen drama before, but nothing compares to the chaos that erupted when Tamar Braxton pressed post on that one chilling Instagram story. A single picture, a single caption, and 7 words that flipped Atlanta upside down. I woke up in a pool of blood. Within minutes, hashtags exploded across Twitter. Gossip blogs went into overdrive and fans from coast to coast were whispering, speculating and arguing about what really happened. To some, Tamar Braxton was a survivor of a near-death medical scare. To others, it looked like yet another suspicious rollout, a perfectly timed stunt right before her next project. And caught in the center of the chaos, unfairly dragged into a storm that wasn't his own, was one named Funky Dineva. The problem with Tamar Braxton's post wasn't just the words, it was the silence that followed. She claimed her teeth were fractured, her nose was broken, and she had no memory of what happened. But she didn't say who was there, who helped her, or who might have caused it. And in that silence, the internet did what it always does, it filled in the blanks. And the blanks all pointed directly at Funky Dineva. Her fans accused Funky Dineva of slipping her something, of being violent, of being the villain in her tragedy. His name flooded Twitter threads, her Instagram comments, and every one of his live streams. For Funky Dineva, this wasn't just another messy headline, it was a reputational hit that cut deep. In his words, in what world does somebody get accused of something as serious as drugging or harming someone and they just sit quiet? He knew the accusations were false, but Tamar Braxton's silence made him look guilty by association. All he wanted was something simple, one public statement from Tamar Braxton clearing his name. That's it, nothing more. Behind the scenes, the calls poured in. Tamar Braxton's publicist, her assistants, even her close friends all begging Funky Dineva not to make things worse. Q, please don't. Q, be the bigger person. Q, just let it go. But Funky Dineva's response was sharp and direct. Why are y'all talking to me? Why aren't y'all talking to her? Because this storm didn't start with him, it started with Tamar Braxton pressing post. And only Tamar Braxton could fix it. Finally, under pressure, Tamar Braxton posted a short note on Instagram. No matter what he says, I love Funky anyway. Had I known what was going on while I was recovering, I would have said something. It's terrible that whatever I didn't say turned into all this. I just want peace. For Funky Dineva, it wasn't perfect, but it was enough to calm the storm for a moment. He felt she had finally given the world something to stop dragging his name. But the internet doesn't forget, and neither did Funky Dineva. Deep down, he knew something about Tamar Braxton's apology was off. It was too neat, too calculated, too forced. In his own words, we had to twist, bend, and move her arm just to get that little post out of her. It wasn't real, it wasn't genuine, it was pure damage control. Still, Funky Dineva tried to give grace. Okay, something happened to the girl, she's not doing well. I can weather this storm, I've weathered other storms, he thought. It would fade, he thought with time they could move forward, maybe even laugh about the madness. After all, they had been friends, but what Funky Dineva didn't expect was what came next. Because Tamar Braxton wasn't done, she didn't stop with the apology, she didn't stop with peace. Instead, as her recovery went on, she started dropping cryptic captions, shady subliminals, little phrases that the world could only interpret one way. Phrases like, the rabbit got the pow pow, or my voice is my PR stunt, or did all that hating and gossiping about me still didn't stop nothing, I'd be mad too. Posts that on the surface could have been about anyone, but the timing made it obvious. To Funky Dineva, every line was directed straight at him. And that's when his patience snapped. For Funky Dineva, this wasn't shade, it was betrayal. He had already been dragged, already accused of crimes he never committed, already hit in the gut by public opinion. And now Tamar Braxton wanted to keep playing games online? To him, her apology had turned out to be nothing more than a hollow band-aid. A fake gesture that meant nothing. So when Funky Dineva went live again, he didn't hold back. He dragged Tamar Braxton from top to bottom, calling her out for chasing sympathy, for loving attention, for fueling speculation instead of shutting it down. You like this type of mess, you like the drama, you like being the center of attention. None of this would have happened if you had just been normal, patched yourself up, healed in private, and moved on. He pointed out what the fans were already noticing. Tamar Braxton wasn't too weak to drop cryptic stories. She wasn't too weak to release subliminal captions. She wasn't too weak to post a brand new music video, but somehow she had been too weak to clear Funky Dineva's name when it mattered most, and to him, that said everything. Twitter agreed. Some fans dragged Tamar Braxton for being messy, calling her apology fake and accusing her of using Funky Dineva as collateral damage. For a PR stunt, others defended her, insisting she had nearly died and didn't owe anyone explanations. But the damage was done, the divide was clear, and the feud was only growing louder. And then came the receipts, the voice of authority that made everything even messier. A doctor stepped in, a cosmetic dentist, no less, confirming exactly what Tamar Braxton had gone through. Yes, her teeth were fractured. Yes, one was completely knocked out. Yes, her septum was broken. And yes, surgery had been performed. The injuries were real. The story wasn't all smoke and mirrors. But instead of cooling the drama, it only poured gasoline on the fire. Because now people weren't just asking what happened, they were asking how it happened. And why Tamar Braxton chose to put the story on Instagram instead of picking up the phone. To protect Funky Dineva, the very friend she claimed to love, the storm should have calmed instead. It only grew louder, blogs feasted on it, fans debated non-stop. And the streets of Atlanta buzzed with one burning question: was Tamar Braxton telling the truth? Or was this just another storyline in her never-ending soap opera? The answer came not from Tamar Braxton but from the cold, clinical voice of a Miami dentist doctor. Amira Ogunlai, she confirmed everything. For fractured teeth, one a false tooth completely knocked out, a fractured septum in her nose, emergency oral surgery within 24 hours just to stabilize her. She even explained how Tamar Braxton had flown to Miami in desperation, her smile and her career both hanging in the balance. But Dr. Amira added something even more shocking medically. This might have been caused by sleepwalking. No stroke, no seizure, no medical collapse. Just disoriented, dangerous sleepwalking. Sleepwalkers can injure themselves severely. The doctor explained they can walk, move, even fall, and the next day they remember nothing. On paper, the explanation fit. But for fans who had watched Tamar Braxton for years, it was almost too bizarre to believe. A pool of blood, missing teeth, and broken bones, all from sleepwalking. To some, it sounded like the perfect cover story. And that skepticism only grew louder because of the timing, right before an EP release. Right when Tamar Braxton needed the blogs buzzing. Right when sympathy could easily translate into streams. While the doctor's words gave Tamar Braxton credibility, they also gave Funky Dineva ammunition, because for Funky Dineva, the issue was never about whether Tamar Braxton had been injured. The real issue was her silence, her refusal to clear his name, and her decision to turn a private emergency into public speculation that left him burned alive by the internet. And then came the captions, the subliminals that set everything on fire again. In the days after the doctor's confirmation, Tamar Braxton posted on Instagram stories lines like, "Never ever going back to what I grew from. Nice try, devil, bitch, my voice is my PR stunt, mic on, talent speaks for itself. The rabbit got the pow pow. Did all that hating and gossiping about me still didn't stop nothing, I'd be mad too." The posts were vague, yes, but the shade was loud. Fans immediately connected the dots. Who else could Tamar Braxton be addressing but Funky Dineva? Who else had accused her of stunts? Who else had demanded apologies and refused to back down? For Funky Dineva, this was proof of what he had suspected all along, that her apology had been hollow. Because if Tamar Braxton had truly wanted peace, she wouldn't still be online firing subliminals. She wouldn't be mocking him with talk of rabbits and pow pow. She wouldn't be reframing her accident as a PR stunt that somehow validated her talent. If she wanted to move on, she would have sat down, healed, and left the drama behind. But Tamar Braxton doesn't leave drama in the past, and Funky Dineva? He's never been one to sit quiet while someone bumps their gums in his direction. He went live again, angrier, pettier, sharper. This time, he didn't just clap back, he dragged Tamar Braxton across the internet. He called her a toothless muppet, mocking the very injuries that had landed her in the hospital. He sneered at her story, a pool of blood. Was it Olympic size, standard kiddie pool? Or just the little spit we see when brushing our teeth? The shade was brutal, but it resonated with fans already skeptical of Tamar Braxton's narrative. To them, she had taken a tragedy and dressed it up as melodrama. Funky Dineva's sarcasm cut right through the sympathy and made people question the truth all over again. Then he hit her where it hurt most, her motives. Your near-death experience sure as hell didn't make you grateful to be alive, Funky Dineva spat. If it had, you'd stop being messy, dramatic, and desperate for attention. You didn't fall hard enough, maybe you should get drunk. Take the crazy pills and pass out again. The words were cruel, but they came from deep frustration. To him, Tamar Braxton had used his name as collateral damage to fuel her own headlines. The internet exploded. Some fans slammed Funky Dineva for mocking a woman's medical trauma, calling him cruel and heartless. Others defended him, pointing out that Tamar Braxton had been reckless with her silence, shady with her subliminals, and that Funky Dineva had every right to defend his name after being accused of something so serious. Meanwhile, Tamar Braxton played coy, posting another line. I mind mine and heal, but by then the damage was done. Her deletes, her unfollows, her back and forth posts, all of it made her apology look faker by the day. And Funky Dineva wasn't letting up. Every subliminal post from Tamar Braxton became another payday for Funky Dineva. Every shady caption she dropped gave him a reason to go live, drag her, and remind the world how she had tried to play him. He laid it out plainly. You post something, I post something. You fire a shot, I fire back. At that point, it became crystal clear the feud wasn't about a hospital scare anymore. This was a war of egos, pride, and reputations. Tamar Braxton was fighting for her narrative. Funky Dineva was fighting for his name, and the fans? They were living for it, screenshotting every story, clipping every live, and feeding the blogs non-stop. What had started as a medical emergency had now transformed into a full-blown reality TV storyline bigger than anything VH1 could script. The doctor had confirmed the injuries. Tamar Braxton doubled down with shade. Funky Dineva went nuclear in his clapbacks, but even that wasn't the end. Because Funky Dineva wasn't just clapping back anymore, he was escalating. He set rules, issued ultimatums, and made it clear that if Tamar Braxton wanted peace, she would have to earn it. Every post she makes, I make $5,000, he declared. You think you hurting me? You financing my Miami trip, you paying for my Range Rover, you gonna learn today. It was petty, it was ruthless, and it was brilliant. Funky Dineva had flipped Tamar Braxton's shade into his own paycheck. What she thought would silence him only gave him more power. Then came the moment that shook everyone. Funky Dineva's rules of engagement. He laid them out like a contract. You don't say nothing, I won't say nothing. You don't post nothing, I won't post nothing. That includes subliminals. All that God is elevating me, removing people from my life, and nope, not accepting any of it. Anything you post that can be interpreted as shade toward me, I'm going live, period. The ultimatum was clear. If Tamar Braxton wanted peace, she could have it, but only by shutting up. If she wanted to keep playing games, Funky Dineva was going to drag her every single time. And he made it clear, this wasn't just about drama. This was about respect. You might play with everybody else, but not me, Funky Dineva warned. I'm equally crazy, equally unstable. You post, I post. You throw shade, I throw fire. Ain't no fun. When the rabbit got the gun, the internet lost its mind. Blogs declared it the most toxic feud of the year. Fans debated who was really winning, some siding with Tamar Braxton, some with Funky Dineva. But one thing was certain, the apology had failed. The doctor's confirmation hadn't saved her. And the war was only getting bigger. And then, in one chilling line, Funky Dineva hinted he wasn't done, even in this moment. I'm trying to protect you medically, I'm trying to protect you romantically, but you keep playing. And I'm telling you this ain't what you want. That words romantically set the internet ablaze. What did Funky Dineva know about Tamar Braxton's love life? Who was he protecting her from? And what would happen if he finally decided to spill that tea suddenly? The feud wasn't just about blood, teeth, or posts. It was about secrets, deep, hidden secrets.